Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm back again with Rob Freeman, and we're going to be having a real interesting discussion here about the Psy Games. And I'm also joined by Dalia. Are you in the Psy Games, Dalia? Are you one of the competitors?
Yes, I'm actually going to be competing on the VWE team. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing yet, if it's going to be Mindsight or dowsing, but it's going to be one of those. So I'm
Wow.
looking forward to it.
And Desta's a dowser as well. You have to maybe we'll do a show on dowsing sometime because Desta's going to put up a course on the Patreon on dowsing. She's done it. How many years, Desta?
Oh, 40. I think I was about
40.
13 when I started doing it. Yeah.
Wow. So that there you go. I mean, that's why I say between Destin and myself, we have almost 100 years experience on all this crazy stuff. So Dalia, talk about your how you got into this and talk about your experience with Rob and let's get into this thing with the Psy Games because or maybe explain. Maybe Rob, you can first explain what the Psy Games is, where it came up with. This guy we'd like to interview. I guess he's pretty busy, but when I heard him talking about Mindsight, I'm thinking, and I heard the voice, and I said, "That sounds like Rob Freeman." He played a tape when he was doing the Area 52, that big site there, and he does the psyops, and he's got a lot of stuff that I'd like to ask him about with the his level 5 belt where he could see anything, almost like the idea you can see in 360 degrees and stuff like that. So describe what the Psy Games is, how he came up with the idea, where it is, and how what you and Dalia are going to be doing there.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'd say that Hakeem would be very pleased to be interviewed by you,
Yeah,
Grant, for sure. And I
beautiful,
can even set it up. I was just talking to him this morning. He would
beautiful.
love to do that. But I ran into Hakeem actually through the UFO stuff. I met him at the Monroe Institute.
Okay.
We were there for a week doing one of the After Skinwalker episodes, and he had just been on a retreat for a week, and he was hanging around overlapping a day there. We were coming in for a week. He was just leaving after a week, but he stayed. And he's a good friend of Chris Bledsoe.
Hmm.
And he knew Chris Bledsoe was coming in with our whole group. So he told Chris that he would just stay. So, the producers of the After Skinwalker weren't happy that there was a strange person there. And this was out of protocol because he hadn't signed an NDA for the production, right? So that created a little bit of a flurry until it was all realized that he was a guest of Chris's.
Yeah,
Then that changed everything, of course, right?
yeah.
But he hung around for the day and I got to know him. I had a good chat with him and we really had a kinship going there. And then, he left. We did that whole production with After Skinwalker where they had Chris and so on. And then it was a period of time after we were putting on the very first Mindsight seminar workshop in Goderich, Ontario. And he contacted me and he came to that and I think he already had some aspects of Mindsight, but he opened his Mindsight there at the seminar. And so that's how I met Hakeem, and we kept in touch. And it wasn't long after that that he contacted me with this idea that he was going to put on the Psi games, the PSI games. And, he was talking to me all about that and all the kind of things they wanted to do. And he said, would we put together a team? And I said, sure. And of course, helping out a little bit financially. And so it's just been going nonstop ever since then. And Dalia is actually the team captain. We've got a team of 5 folks that are going to be there. And Dalia, maybe you could pick up from this spot and talk a little bit more about that because you're working very close with Hakeem, putting all this together as well.
Yes. So on the team, there's going to be 5 categories. One of them is going to be, and can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
Yep.
very
Yes.
well. Yep.
Okay. So one of the categories is remote viewing, and one is mindsight, one is dowsing, one is precognition, and the other one's psychokinesis. And so a person can compete as an individual on the thing that they're the most skilled at, or they can join a team and represent one of those categories. And so we have someone for every category, and it's going to be very exciting time. And the teams will actually this is more about just showing what is possible, but then there is a cash prize for the teams and also for the individuals.
Is,
Yeah,
is this
and
going to be
Brent,
televised or how, what's that all about? Because it
Yeah.
seems to me like this is the thing that we need. Because I think a lot of people learn about UFOs and psychic phenomena, not so much from people like you and I talking on the internet, but from TV productions where they're looking for something to watch, and they sort of get educated when they don't even realize that they're picking up on this.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be documented. I'm not sure if it's going to be in a documentary form or a televised form. There's also going to be a lot of workshops with a lot of big speakers. Chris Bledsoe will be there. Also, Dr. Diane Powell, the telepathy tape, she'll be there, and a lot of other speakers that are usually go to Contact in the Desert are going to be there too.
Yep.
And so that's going to be exciting. And um, I originally thought well, I was originally asked to do demonstration of Mindsight, and but then now I'm going to be on a team. But my daughter, who is a part of the telepathy phenomenon and a telepathy tape, she's going to actually be demonstrating there. So it's going to just be showing all kinds of different abilities publicly out there. And there's just going to be a lot of speakers and a lot of scientists. The Monroe Institute will be there. They'll be represented. And other groups like that will be represented, giving legitimacy to the abilities.
And where's this being held?
It's going to be in Charlottesville, Virginia. And it's going to be from August 1st to the 3rd. And just the basic tickets were about 150, but it's for all 3 days. And it includes many of the workshops.
So the people can register and go to the how would they get a hold of like if you got a contact or should they go to Rob or how would they get
Well, it's
tickets?
actually, so to get a
there's
ticket,
the
it's,
website right there.
yeah, psigamesinternational.com. It's too late to enroll as a participant, but you can go to see the workshops and
Yeah.
to watch the games itself.
Todd, you mentioned the telepathy tapes and your daughter. I interviewed Kai Dickens when long before she became famous. What's your contact to the whole telepathy tapes and your daughter? Has your daughter got talents as well?
My daughter is 14 years old and she's very much a telepath. And we're doing a lot of we're working with mostly with Dr. Diane Powell, and we're doing a lot of experiments under strict lab settings. We're doing experiments with Stanford right now, and those are being peer reviewed, and they're very much blown away by what she's been able to showcase. And we're hoping that the studies will be done by no later than September. But yeah, definitely by the end of the year, we'll
So,
have
so who's running it at Stanford and give me an idea of what kind of demonstration you do because
I
the
can't think off
telepathy
the top of
tapes
my head the names, but what we're doing is what my daughter and I are working on is,
yeah
and what she can already do is she is, a lot of the kids with telepathy abilities, a lot of them have motor skill issues, and it's
yeah
really hard for them to spell independently. So usually you need your parent to hold the board, which
yeah
usually I do that with my daughter. But with my daughter, I've actually trained her enough to get past that point where she can actually do it independently. So with me on one side of the room and her on the other side, we've been able to do a random word generator, and she's able to demonstrate the word, or she's able to just pick up the word herself and spell it. And then not only that, she's also able to say the letters. So I got her to the point where she can touch it and say the letters. We actually demonstrated at Contact in a Desert, but that's such a harder skill. I didn't have her actually how do I say, do it with me across the room. I didn't want her to put her through that when she's never practiced it. But what I did do is the next best thing. I gave her a blank piece of paper to just be a proxy. So there's no letters at all. There's nothing on there. So I just put a blank piece of paper in front of her and had her talk into the microphone what the words were. So she would actually touch the paper just because it's a motor skill thing. And then she would say the letter into the microphone. And so that just kind of showed that I wasn't actually giving her any kind of I wasn't giving her any kind of signals or anything. There was just no way to do it. There was no letters on the paper or anything. So yeah, she's actually doing amazing work with her telepathy and showing what's possible.
wow I'd love to is she able to demonstrate like if we were to do a sort of a podcast because I've been fascinated with this for years and Desta and I wrote about it in a book called contact modalities, this whole left brain thing where they, because I used to work with children who had ability. I didn't realize I had these abilities. I knew they had the mind abilities where they'd have two things they were very interested. You can ask them any question you wanted. They just, right off the top of their head. I didn't realize this telepathy thing that I would have done it. But I would love to do a show on that if you ever get a situation where I could do that because I was in contact with Diane and with Kai about this whole thing. Promoted heavily when I first got it, and I think it's absolutely fascinating to see. And I just can't believe people can think like these little kids with these motor skill problems that they're running some sort of big fake thing.
Yeah.
It's like give your head a shake. Come on. That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen when you get these kids that do this kind of stuff. It's just and you do you think it's related? Do you think there's some sort of genetic factor? Or how do you think this talent appears in you and say your daughter?
My daughter says mindsight and she says that it's another form of telepathy. And I'm not nearly on her level with telepathy,
Yeah.
but she says it is another form. And for me to get really, really good at mindsight and where it's basically remote viewing, she says I just need to improve my telepathy. And so she's constantly every day trying to help me with it. But yeah, I love with my daughter, I literally can just, if I want to have a conversation, all I have to do is think the questions or think anything I want to say to her. But the only thing is, in order to hear the response back, I have to give her the letter words because I'm not
Yeah.
good at receiving it yet. But it's really nice when I'm in a public place and we can't speak. Like when if we're in the audience of a place, I could just ask her a question and just give her the board, and I'll get my answers that way. So it's really interesting the way our life is our reality. But yeah, I tried the mask on her once, the Mindsight mask, and because I've never tried it, and I actually did a video and I sent it to Rob's group. And yeah, on the very first try, she was able to do it. And behind her, in front of her, everything. And I was like,
Is that
wow.
right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, because to me that's the key that because Desta and I we're doing another book, but we do these books on like cross. Desta does a lot of things like dowsing and healing and all this kind of stuff, same as you. And it's this idea that there's a connection. So if you look at people who have out of body experiences or near death experiences, you hear them and say, and I was there and suddenly I could see in 360 degrees everything, and I'm going. Hey, that just sounds like the mindsight people. It sounds like people out of body experience. And you realize there's this crossover thing that this is a very important part of reality that when you're in a certain mindset outside your body, you can actually see in 360 degrees. So you can put the card behind them, you can sit on the card, they can see it wherever it is. It doesn't have to be in front of them because everybody thinks they're peeking through the blindfold, but you can put it behind them and stuff. So anytime I'd love it. What part of the States are you in?
I'm in Utah.
Oh, you're in Utah. Okay. So that would be kind of, you don't speak too loud about that. So I have a good friend there who's we've done a bunch of interviews there with his experiences. But I'd love to anytime we can do some sort of video. I'd love to have one with these kids. Are they going to feature your daughter at any point with the telepathy tapes?
Yeah, so I'm working with Kai's team, or I will be working with Kai's team. Right now, I'm committed to finishing with Dr. Diane in Stanford. So we need to focus on that first and then
Yeah.
afterwards. But I'm very much in communication with both, and they're all very excited about leaving.
Well,
So,
it's an exciting project. I mean, you take a look at what's happened. I say, the telepathy tapes to me, it was when I've been in this for 50 years. I say this is one of the most important stories I ever saw. When you get Christmas Day and she gets 1.5 million hits on her podcast, you've broken through something. I mean, that it's making a move. So anything I can do to help, I'd love to do some sort of thing. You got any questions on this, Desta? Because you work on all this kind of stuff.
No questions right now, no.
No
yeah,
questions.
so we won't actually be having a telepathy category or anything at the side games, but my daughter will demonstrate what telepathy is there. And yeah, it's a pretty amazing skill, and it's so I always say my daughter has to go first before or I'm sorry, after me before so if I ever demonstrate, I have to go first because she's just gonna blow me out of the water.
Wow, fascinating. And how many teams are there on the side games? Do you know?
So this year it's just two teams.
Okay.
I think we originally had three, but they weren't able to do it. So now we have two teams, but we have a bunch of individuals.
Wow, it's fascinating because as I mentioned, I don't know if you've seen the interviews, but there's actually a team in Australia, and I had said that all the children, because usually it's like young children are very good at this, that we should have an American team because you have martial arts people teaching this kind of technique, and the Canadian team, Rob and people in Canada make a Canadian team and have these kids compete as teams. And so the Australians actually have uniforms and all this kind of stuff. They're really into it. And when you see them going through obstacle courses and stuff like that, this a pile of these kids, it's just really impressive, and I think it's a big breakthrough. And Rob, what's your role with the Psy Games?
Yeah, so I've worked with Hakeem quite a bit. I'm just a sponsor,
Yeah,
really, and sponsoring our folks that are from our seminars that are going. They're going to be wearing the VWE t-shirts and so on.
yeah,
And so I'm helping out, financially that way, so people can make their way there from
yeah.
across the states in Canada. And really, that's it. I do talk to Hakeem quite a bit. This is the very first one, and he's got, oh gosh, I think there will be close to 500 or more people there,
Wow,
like over the weekend,
wow,
and maybe even more. Like he's very pleased with how it's going. This is his very first one, so there will be good learning opportunities from, all the different things that are experienced and happen there, and then they will go forward next year and improve it even more.
wow.
Just like we do with the seminars, going
Yeah,
forward with these seminars. For example, Grant, with the seminars, people are wearing the mask. And of
yeah,
course, people online will say, oh, you're peeking along the
yeah,
nose, you're
yeah,
peeking underneath, right?
yeah,
And so we added the patches in.
yeah,
Now, it's not just for people that are watching the videos, it's really for the participants because they themselves think that somehow they're cheating.
yeah.
Even though they're looking through the mask, they swear that you've given them a mask that's flawed. Because I had one girl, Carol Bassi, was demanding a new mask. And we said, but Carol, the next mask will be the same thing. You'll think there's a hole in it. So we have them at the end of the seminar
Yeah,
start putting a patch, one eye, then do the other eye, and then the next day do both. Now we're advancing forward where it'll be okay, there's the mask, but there's going to be a
oh
black
yeah,
card in front. So
wow,
this will be just beyond by Velcro.
oh yeah,
And so, because again, if your mask is loose, you
yeah,
can see a little bit of light along the edges.
yeah,
Now, for people that are having a hard time getting their mind sight open, we actually use that because that helps to encourage your natural mindset to come open. You don't have to start with that, but if somebody's having a difficult time, you can go to that. That's a bit of a backup. But still, people will think that they're looking along the edge. So this is the next iteration. We're going to put this on the mask so that the participants themselves don't have any more trouble with their left brain because their left brain will find some crazy reason
yeah,
why you're cheating. You're not really doing it. The left brain can't do this, Grant. So
yeah,
it wants to try to poo-poo the
yeah.
right brain,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah,
So
exactly.
Well, I actually use that mask. We call it the welders because I actually
Yeah,
use it where it has paper in the front, on the sides, behind you, and it has it above you. So it looks
yeah,
like I'm wearing a welder's helmet. And so at first, wasn't able to see anything. It just took a few minutes and I could see colors and then eventually able to see the shapes. I haven't tried yet to see if I could read or anything. But what's interesting about that is even with that, your rational side is always going to try to find a reason
hmm,
that it currently believes and that it works. And so when people, even with that, they'll say, well, the paper must be kind of see-through or it must be getting worn out. So there's always a reason that we're
hmm,
always going to come up with. It doesn't even matter. The mindfold is a total blackout mask. There is
yeah,
really, when you first put it on, there is zero light going in there. And once you start doing the exercises, then it starts to appear as light is coming, but that is inner light that's happening. It just kind of appears like regular light. And so people start thinking my mask has a light coming through it. It's flawed and it's really the inner light. And I've worked with blind people in Rob's groups and they do the same skeptical stuff. And so there's
Yeah.
one I worked with, John, he started to see more light, but he says, oh, that must be, I just have some light perception. He's starting to say, I
Yeah.
have light perception. And so he tries to put this is a blind guy from birth. And so he puts a mask on to cover up the light. And I was like, John, no, no. And then there's a woman with no eyes, Kelly, like
Yeah.
she started to see when I was there. She was seeing light in real time. She was seeing all kinds of stuff. But what she was saying was, I must just be sensing it. And I said, how are you able? I can understand if you can sense through touch and sound and all of these things. But how are you able to distinguish the wavelengths of light, like with so much accuracy? And she's like, yeah, you're right. Like, so then I said, and also number two, being able to see is a sense. So yes, you are sensing it. And so yeah, everybody, their rational mind will always try to explain it in a way that makes it sound limiting and think I can't really be doing this because it's too amazing. But in reality, yeah, it should always feel easy. And so that's what I try to instill in people. I'm like, yes, it gets so easy that it should feel like it's too easy. I mean, because we always think doing something like this is so fantastic. It must be hard. It must be some dramatic thing that happens before we can do it. But once you actually start doing it, it feels easy. You start to think, okay, there has to be a trick as to why this is
Yeah.
working. And
Yeah.
so yeah, the patches, even skeptical people, they will try to say the patch must be see-through. And so there's always something happening.
Yeah, that's what we do in contact modalities. That's the whole thing about when Desta hypnotizes someone, it's basically like, okay, left brain, we know you want to help, but can you go for coffee? We got some work to do here,
Yeah.
and you're trying to shut that left brain down. That's it's the interpreter, and it's always wrong. It's guessing and it's skeptical and stuff like that. And once you can shut that down, then the female side, the right side of the brain, can actually tap in. So. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job in terms of promoting this thing, of moving this thing along and to get it out, because to me it's an extremely important idea. And you're going to get to the point where the Australian kids, you can have like the side games is a thing I think that could actually be on TV, because the Australian kids, they have the things where the kids are playing video games with the thing on, and you're going like, come on, I mean, they're playing video games. Or the one with the where they're playing ping pong, and I said the ultimate test would be the ping pong game in the dark, where if you got your infrared, you can actually watch these kids playing ping pong in the dark. And then the skeptics are really going to have to shake their head and try to come up with some rational explanation of how you can play ping pong in the dark. So I just think it's the most fascinating thing as I've seen in terms of, and it's almost like we're being given this at this time in history, that this is coming through. And so to me, it's like, if you believe in reincarnation, you're going to be like 1,000 years from now, you're going to be regressed and you're going to say, oh, you were Rob Freeman. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, everybody says they're Rob Freeman. Cleopatra and Rob Freeman. Everybody thinks they're Rob Freeman. Like you're going to have this sort of, you put down this history of, I think, what's the most important thing in the world. I mean, it sort of explains how reality actually works. And when you start looking at what you guys are doing, it basically says you haven't got a clue how reality works. I mean, because this is defying everything that people that, in the material world will think. So I think it's extremely important work. And I'd love to do with lots of videos on this and sort of demonstrate these kids and help put this message out, because I just think it's a very important message.
Absolutely.
And what's
Did
interesting
you
about our
go ahead?
team, and what I was going to say, what's also interesting is there is, even for the people who do believe in Mindsight, there's still the majority of them only believe kids can do it. And what's interesting about with our group, with Rob's group, we focus on adults, and these adults aren't taking years to open; they're opening in days.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's another thing that the side games is going to dispel, this idea that you have to be a kid and when you're an adult, it's just too late. All of that's going to get dispelled when you see a bunch of adults doing it very efficiently.
Wow. Well, I hope it's taped, and I hope people can see it on the internet, because I just think this is the exact way to put this thing out, rather than some demonstration single, where it makes it like a game where people will be able to watch it on TV. If they get on TV, then I think the idea will move in terms of people going like, holy cow. They may think it's faked or whatever, but still, it's just a fascinating idea where you turn it into a game. and people, because people like the reality shows and the game shows and stuff like that. And I think this is a fantastic way to educate people. So thank you for what you do, and let me know. Maybe we can have a show after, because I'd like to see what, if we can talk to Hakeem and find out, what happened and how it worked. If he's got 500 people there and it sort of spreads around, I mean, it could turn into like a major event where there's just thousands of people. And the people that have the talents now who don't know the side games that's coming on, they're going to go, well, I can outdo that guy. And you pull these people out of the woodwork, because I'm sure there's lots of people running around that have unbelievable talents. Like I said, I had these kids when I was at the university. They'd bring these kids to there, and we'd be give them little jobs to do, and they weren't really doing jobs. It would be their handler or their assistant that would be doing the job, and the kid would just follow around. They couldn't talk, they couldn't do anything. And if I had known then that, that these talents were latent in these people, I would have done something, and I missed the opportunity. So to me, this is exciting that you guys are discovering these kids, and it makes the kids feel good. I would imagine, in terms of from what I hear, if you're skeptical and you're in the room, they just aren't going to perform. You have to respect them and believe in them, and then that's sort of worked. Or even Rob, the girl from England, we interviewed her, and she talked about the fact where the one time she was reading the book, so her mother always brought her to the session, and then mother couldn't bring her, so the father was very skeptical, and he brought the kid, and then the kid's reading, and the father's going, "What the heck?" And he walks up and he looks over the daughter's shoulder, and then the kid says, "I can't see. I can't see anymore. I'm dark." And then the instructor says, "Could you move away, please? Step away from the kid." And as soon as he stepped away, "Oh, I can see again." And this idea of the fact that the mind is much more than what people think it is, and this is an absolutely fantastic way to demonstrate it. And I wish you the best, and in terms of competition, and hopefully we can do a show after and follow up on this, because it's fascinating. Anything
Yeah,
anybody
and
wants to say before you go ahead?
yeah, Grant, I was going to say, Dalia is prepared to demonstrate this for you in the podcast. Did you want her to do that, or?
Sure. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
And yeah, so you can hold up
I have not,
big cards.
I have not, I'm gonna do patches, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I haven't played with patches for a bit, so if I don't open immediately, I will take off the patches, so when I put on the patches, so I see nothing with the patches on at all. But then when I put the blindfold on, I do see.
Which is interesting. And this is part of what the right brain may believe. The right brain may believe, well, this is something that I have to do with the patches and the mask, right?
Yeah.
So Dalia, what color would that be?
Well, that's pink,
And
that's
what about
yellow,
that?
yellow, and that's blue.
Okay, what about dice? What's the color and number?
That is a yellow 4,
Wow.
Okay. What about that?
and that is a red 6.
Okay, and what about a couple cards?
That's a U, that's an O, that's what is that, a G? Okay. And that's an H, and
Okay, and what about some of the picture cards?
that is some grapes. And that is, what is that, a leaf, a green leaf? And that is a cow.
Okay, and of course, symbols, they're easy to do, right? Symbols we work with.
That's a square, an open square. Plus circle.
Open or close.
Oh yeah, open. And that's a triangle.
Okay.
That's a closed square.
Okay. And then I've just got, these are all the things that we use in our classes, Grant.
Wow.
What's this, Dale?
Word go.
Okay.
That's the word was, or sorry, once. 3. Bye.
Grant, have you got anything you want to hold up in the screen?
No, I'll just give her the test that I gave to the kid in Australia. Can you see me, Dalia?
Yes, but the windows are, yes, I see you. Windows are kind of small today, but maybe it's because I'm using the patches, but normally I can see much better with my patches.
Can you see? Can you see what I'm doing?
You're kind of making a grimace like this.
Go closer to the screen, Grant. Go closer to the screen. Oh,
Yeah.
Dahlia was sticking her tongue out. Dahlia stuck her tongue out also.
Mhm.
That's what I did to Seth. I remember I said we
Yeah.
were waiting for the cards. When he was getting the cards, I said, "Seth, can you actually see me?" And then he said, "Yeah." And I stuck up my tongue, and he started laughing. I go, "Hey, this guy can actually see me." It's like it's impressive. I mean, you're good. I mean, in terms of, do you know who your competition is going to
So when
be?
I take it off, I see nothing, like totally went black again. And so and that's what I said in the video. I'm like, oh, that is so fascinating.
Are
And
you
then
impressed,
learn,
Desta?
what was that?
I'm just asking Desta if she's impressed.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I could put layers upon layers. At Contact in the Desert, I actually I put patches and then I put pirate patches on both, and then I put the blindfold on,
Yeah.
and then and it was pitched, it was very dark in there. And so I was reading and stuff like that for the audience. And so so that was an exciting thing. But yeah, what's interesting is yeah, I could, as soon as I've conditioned myself, anytime I put on the mask, whatever I have on, it could be, you could take my whole face, it doesn't matter. Like, as
Wow.
long as I put the mask on, it'll instantly open. But I am working with that welder's mask, like where it's just like a
Oh, yeah.
helmet. It's like a cardboard helmet over your head. And
Yeah.
so I'm working on that. And so that one's, I was going to do that at Contact in the Desert, but I thought it was kind of scary looking, looks a little weird. So I just didn't do that one. But that's the one that the scientists like the most because that it just gets rid of all the ideas of peaking.
Yeah. Well,
And
they'll come up with something
Dahlia,
new.
yeah, and Dahlia, how many seeing windows do you have at the moment?
So I can see above my head and I can see behind my head. So I have two different ways to see behind me, and I have two above, but yeah, I don't use them enough. So sometimes I open and close. And then in the front, I have a couple of windows. And down here, there's always windows down here, but nobody likes those ones because everyone thinks you're cheating, even though it's not possible. You can give me any mask that you want in the world. And you can give me, I've had people like they've given me a cloth, like really tight goggles to go over the cloth and tape, and then I will put the mask, I'll still see. So it's like it's not possible to see down here with your eyes, with all of that over the eyes, but people will always think they're somehow peeking. And so I usually don't look down here because people will think I'm peeking, but I have a lot of windows here too.
Wow. Absolutely fascinating. Have you ever done the obstacle course thing that like I think the Utah, they have what do you remember that what that's called? That Utah
Hibernation.
training, judo, or they do martial arts or whatever
Yeah,
from
so that's, I think you're talking about Viber Vision, and they're actually,
Vision. Yeah.
yeah,
Have you done any of
I
those
games
kind of
also.
obstacle courses type thing that they set up for the kids?
I haven't, but I could do that very easily. I've actually driven with my blindfold, so I could easily do it.
Have you seen those, Rob, those things where they count money and stuff? They have, and they
Yeah,
draw something and then they put the bean bags, different color bean bags.
yeah.
That would be something for down the road if they're doing this for entertainment for 500 people, have these competitions where these people are going through these obstacle courses because that's just amazing where they're, they got things to walk around and all this kind of stuff. And then you really makes the skeptic think like, how is this possible? I mean, holy cow.
Yeah, and I think that, those are the kind of things that Hakeem will incorporate into future years
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
make it fun, make it
Yeah.
interesting, and things that are just incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
people like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Australian kids were in it, but I think I maybe Hakeem contacted me and I said, well, how do you pay for like these kids from Australia to come over? I mean, they've got a lot of talent and stuff, but the obstacle is to have it so at TV, so you have some sort of financing because these kids are around, but who's going to pay, $1,500 for a ticket from Australia just to go and demonstrate that you can do this in another country? That there's just not the money there. So the TV thing and the may solve it. And I'm sure if it gets on TV, it'll be just as big as the Skinwalker Ranch show and stuff like that because it's weird and people can think whatever they want, but it's entertaining. And then that's where he's gone. He's gone to this sort of thing where it's a competition and it's a lot of people want to see it and stuff. I'm very impressed, Talia. That's amazing in terms of what you can see. And the thing with the eyes, like people ask this question, I can ask you, like, and I saw you the same thing. It's almost like you're turning your head and you've got a window out the side. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so when the one that was when I was looking straight ahead, it was getting a little closed. And I
Yeah.
don't know why, maybe like normally that's really easy for me to see through. So when it was starting to close, I'll say, okay, I'll go to this one then. And so there's different ones that, and so I purposely didn't go to that one first, even though that was pretty big. And I'm like, yeah, people don't like when you turn your head. But what's interesting though is I have worked with blind people, have and, like Kelly has no eyes and her
Yeah.
window's right here.
Yeah.
So she has to turn her head too. So every time to see, she has to and this is what I explain to people when they're learning Mindsight. It's not like your eyes where you can just go like this and see. You have to actually turn your head because the windows aren't, it's like on your skin in a place. And so you kind of have to turn to put the window in the direction of where you're looking.
Yeah.
So people just don't understand what that means and why we're doing it, but even the blind have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Grant, even Hakeem called me today asking if we could have Kelly come to the games. Kelly is the girl that she was born blind. She's from Hamilton, and she was here in my Mindsight seminar for a week in May, and then she came back for 2 weeks. Dalia came to my place for a week and was training her, and Nikki came for a week. We're trying to move her forward to get her full seeing windows open. Now, Hakeem asked if we could have her come to the games because he said that'll be incredible. This girl, this lady, born blind and had
Yeah.
to have her eyes removed at 2 years old due to extreme glaucoma. And how is she seeing? But she's not quite ready yet. And
Wow.
I wouldn't want to risk it because she's just starting to open her seeing windows,
Yeah.
like the advanced level.
Yeah.
And the problem is if you paraded her in front of a group where she feels under pressure,
Yeah.
and then, if it didn't quite happen for her or not very good, people start laughing and she feels
Oh yeah.
humiliated.
Yeah.
That could just kill her
Yeah.
mindset forever. So we won't do that. So he wants her to come next year, and she should be perfectly fine to appear in the games next year.
Be in the same
But
spot next year?
well, that's where he lives. He lives not
Oh,
far from there. So
okay.
probably it will.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested to come down and see this because this is it just fascinates me. Even and I said, there's all these connections. Like you get, they've actually done studies on near-death experience people, and you have dead people or blind people, and they have the near-death experience. They can see their body as they're floating above their body, and just like ordinary people. And to me, that's like, I mean, it gets to the nature of reality. What's really going on? How does things actually work? And you and I, it's us. I say we live on the Super Bowl. This is the biggest story of all times, and you and I get to play in this game, and every day see magnificent stories of people and their talents and stuff like that, and just you go wow all day long. And what
Yeah.
more could you ask for?
Well, I know. And I mean, it's not too late. You can still register to go as a spectator, but look at as Dalia mentioned, look at all the people they've got coming
Oh,
speaking.
Jaime Maussan is going to be there too. Danny
Well,
Sheehan.
yeah, it's Danny Sheehan. Let's start at the beginning here.
Tom
So,
Campbell. Yeah,
yeah,
we have Tom Campbell, we have Adam Curry right
Oh,
there.
Tom Campbell. Yeah.
And then I can't see the next one is, yeah, Daniel Sheehan and
yeah, there's Chris.
yes.
Yeah.
And who's
Dr.
that?
Diane,
Diane Hennessy
Dr.
Paul.
Diane.
Yeah, she's gonna be there. There's John Alexander.
John
We all know
Alexander. Yeah,
him.
he's interested in all that stuff.
Julia Mossbridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've talked to her.
And also
Thompson.
Paul.
Yeah.
Chris Ramsey.
Look at all these people.
Wow. Done a fantastic job.
I don't think it stops. It's just more and more.
Wow. Dale Graff. He ran the remote viewing program for the Air Force.
Alan
Alan
Steinfeld.
Seinfeld. Yeah. I'll have to talk to Alan about what
Oh
he
man,
thinks.
I don't know where the end of it is here.
Holy cow.
Look at PhD people.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's Nicola Farmer from England.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Uh, do you know these people, Grant?
Oh, yeah. I interviewed most of these people.
Who else have we got here? This just goes on and on and on. Look at
Holy cow.
this.
This
These
is all,
people are
all in 3 days. Wow.
these people are all speaking and doing presentations. Look at that. It continues.
Wow.
Oh,
Mhm.
and there's the guy from
Vibravision.
Vibravision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the end.
Wow.
How many was that? Like 20?
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, congratulations to him for putting this together, especially the first year. You'd think, you just sort of do a little bit, but it sounds like it's going to be just a wild time in terms of excitement and competition, and hopefully the kids don't get, or people don't get sort of, because as you mentioned, I think when I was talking to Seth, it was the same thing. His thing started to shake. You can only do it for so long or whatever, or if something happens. So hopefully they're not intimidated by the crowds, because that's always a problem. But
Yeah.
with the children, I mean, sort of like they can pick up and shut down, but they always feel good that they're now believed. One last question: have you been to the Hill? You know the story about the Hill, that these kids instinctively go to the Hill. Does your daughter or you have you had any involvement with this Hill, this
My daughter
place
goes
in
to the hill,
what's
often.
that?
My daughter goes to the hill every day.
Wow.
And what's interesting is I haven't had any conscious memories going to the hill yet, but we talked to this one person where she's an adult and she asked my daughter, "Do you recognize me?" And my daughter spelled out yes. And then she says, "How do you recognize me?" She goes, "You were at the hill teaching." And
Oh,
then
wow.
the woman says, "And what was I teaching?" And then my daughter, I don't remember what she says, but the woman said she was trying to teach a song, and she goes, "Can you sing the song?" And my daughter starts singing the song, and then my daughter spells out a phrase, and she said that's what the meaning of the song is. So it wasn't the title of the song, but it was the meaning behind it. So I thought that was fascinating because I never, this was and this woman said that one of the telepathy kids, because she's involved with the telepathy tape. So she said one of the kids actually pulled her and took her to the hill. And so she didn't get there like by herself. So maybe I'll ask my daughter for them to do that with me.
Yeah, yeah, because that is a big thing. That was the big when I interviewed her. I said this is like the $64,000 question, is the Hill. That this was discovered that these kids all around America were talking about the Hill, and yet these kids don't. A lot of them, they can't leave the house, and basically, and yet they're all talking about this Hill. So they can't possibly have any connection with the other kids, and they all started talking about this, which was, and then the Jewish people had some Hill that they went to, and it's just absolutely fascinating. And I think they're talking even about doing some sort of demonstration that can prove that this hill actually exists by, getting these kids and stuff like that and to combine. And that just, to me, it just changes the worldview as to what's really going on here, that you can be skeptical as you want, but a lot of people are just going to pick up. Like, when John Alexander's picking up, I mean, he's always been sensed as being the guy who went into the paranormal world and was bringing stuff back to the government as to, who's good and all this kind of stuff. Or Dale Graff. Dale Graff was famous for one of the remote viewers that found the plane, that the Tupolev 22 that crashed in northern Africa, and the CIA was trying to find it before the Russians. And Dale Graff had one of his best girls, and Puthoff had one of his best remote viewers, and they found it within a mile or something of identifying the location in this river where this plane was. So when you see Dale Graff, he's been spent his whole life doing this kind of stuff. And John Alexander, the same thing. These are big name people who are paying attention. So congratulations. And I think you're going to do very well from with the demonstration you gave us. So hopefully we can do another one after and hear what happened and your reaction to what you saw from other people that are there.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's so funny with the hill. My daughter, she treats it like, it is a place where you can go for her, and you have teachers and all of this, but she also treats it as a place to go and hang out with her friends.
Yeah.
And the way she does it is she paces back and forth. She doesn't actually go into a meditative state. Well, she does like a walking meditation. And what was interesting is, yeah, even when we go to places and and she needs to wind down, I'll always say, "All right, sweetie, you can go ahead and go talk to your friends," and you'll see her go into any kind of secluded place and she'll just walk back and forth and you'll see her just talking. And it's just so fascinating how it works. And yeah, I can go into so many stories about her and her friends, her whole life. I always thought she didn't have friends. It made me kind of sad because, she couldn't speak. And but then it turned out her whole life she did have friends. And a lot of us parents who have kids like this, a lot of them still don't understand that they do have friends, and they're just in a different realm, and or they're meeting in a different way than what we expect. And it's just, it made me feel so much happier to find that out.
Wow. Well, I'm honored to talk to you. I mean, I was talking to Kai about trying to get one of the students, because I missed my opportunity many years ago when I was working with these kids. But I feel honored to be able to actually link up with you and with your daughter and her talent, because to me is just fascinating. I mean, I used to I remember one time I had my main guy was Jason, and he put together songs and stuff for like he'd have the lyrics and everything. We'd take him into the little sound booth and he'd play it and stuff. And then I would he was an expert at anything to do with sports. I'd say, okay, Jason, how many women are married to how many movie stars? Female movie stars are married to NFL players, and he would answer it, and all these people were sitting around the table going, what? And then ask him, and he'd be drawing at the same time. He'd be reading the Toronto Globe and Mail, and he'd be drawing at the same time and answering these
That's
questions. And these people are just like with their mouths hanging open. He could answer any question, and then he'd go, "Okay, Grant, that's enough." Like, right, kid, Jason. So, so it's very entertaining to watch, but it's really revealing as to how does the mind actually work and what's really going on, and it'll change the world. So I think you're on the leading edge of a very important story, and I hope you document it for the world and for you and your daughter.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my daughter will often do that. She'll have this totally different conversation of what she's spelling, and what she's spelling is answering your question. And when we were demonstrating at Contact in a Desert, there was like somebody looked at a picture in the audience, and there was a word on it. And as I think that's what it was. And as she was describing the picture, as she was spelling and describing the picture, she was singing Happy Birthday at the same time.
Wow.
And so the audience ate that up. They just loved it. And then there was I think it was Chris Bledsoe's son's birthday. So
Oh yeah.
and so he was there, and it was somebody else's birthday. So they were really happy, the birthday people.
Wow. How many people were at the presentation that you did with Dynasty Paul? I think you were demonstrating with her.
Yeah, and it was over, and Hakeem was there, Chris Ramsey was there, and there was a couple other people I can't off the top of my head, but yeah, it was probably about 1,000
Wow.
people. It was the whole entire room was filled.
Wow. So the word is getting out, and that's what we want. I mean, like Rob, you've been in this a long time as well. And for many years, we figured like we are just sitting there and spinning our tires and nothing was happening. It wasn't moving. But when you see these kind of events, like the Skinwalker show and all the stuff that's on TV, there used to be one documentary a year. And now it's like all over the place because it's big time TV, and people don't realize that the consciousness is rising. It's the old idea. As long as they spell your name right. They keep you talk about it, and you talk about it, and you talk about it, and eventually, like Max Planck said, you do not convince your opponent with facts. Science advances when the opponent dies, and the new generation is not offended with the idea. And that's what's happening. We're placing all this stuff, and the young kids that are coming along are just going to assume, yeah, this is how it works, and the skepticism is going to go away. And that's what we're doing. It's just raising the consciousness of the world, piece by piece. And I'm just honored to be involved with all of you, and thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, so let's call it at that. Desta, you can shut her down. And